Hello, this is How to Strum a Guitar Absolute Basics Part 2, which makes it not absolute basics, I suppose. We've done those. So this is slightly more advanced basics. We've done the correct hand movement with your forearm not moving, with just rotation that makes this really floppy right hand. You should be holding the plectrum properly so it's nice and floppy, and you should be able to play rhythm combinations. Any rhythm combinations that you want that suit the song. Today we're going to talk about two things. First of all, which strings to hit and when to use accents and how to do accents on a guitar. So, which strings to hit? People assume that you need to hit all 6 strings on a guitar all the time. This is absolutely not the case. It sounds much better if you're a bit more selective. But conveniently, if we look at the way the plectrum moves when we're strumming using the correct action, it's not going straight up and down, so it hits all 6 strings. It's going in a nice curve. It's a nice arc movement, which means that if there are strings there, it's not going to hit all of the strings. Oops, I just dropped the plectrum. It's going to hit some of them, and where we position it in relation to the guitar determines which strings it hits. I'm just going to pick up the plectrum now and pretend I'm professional and I didn't do that. So most of the time, if you're playing ordinary open chords, those open chords that we learn first, we don't want to hear the bass notes. We don't want to hear those strings. We want to hear the top 4. So a D will have these, C's that, G, E minor. Those chords sound nicer if they're nice and light and we don't have that big beefy noise. So that sort of sound is what we want, and not that's just, I was exaggerating slightly, but that is the sound you get. It's muddy and it's brutal and you don't hear the nice subtleties of the chords. So get used to that and pay attention to what strings you can hear. Even that sounds quite nice compared to that. If you're playing heavier music, if you're playing punky, rocky stuff and you're using power chords, the rhythm is exactly the same, the movement is exactly the same. The only difference is, instead of hitting these strings, we're going to hit these strings. So, instead of that, we're hearing this. The rhythm is exactly the same. So think about that. It should be moving in an arc. It should not be hitting all the strings, and the strings that it does hit depends on where your hand is in relation to the guitar. If you're near the ground, you get these lovely high notes for a nice light sound. If you're playing power chords, you just move the hand up to closer to the ceiling. Now, next thing, accents. An accent in music just means a note or a beat that you play louder than the others. The technique of doing that on a guitar does not involve making the movement bigger or hitting it any harder really. The only difference is you hold the plectrum slightly more stiffly. So I've told you before that we want the plectrum nice and floppy so that it's moving up and down. Now, if you just hold it more firmly, because physics, it transfers more energy to the string. Therefore, the string has more energy and is louder. It is complicated, but the essence is, if you hit a guitar like that, with a nice floppy plectrum, and then you hit it again, holding the plectrum more rigidly, you get a much louder sound. It's not as nice a sound, but that's okay because we're using it to emphasize one beat. So I'll just play a rhythm. The most obvious things to do are either to accent the first beat in each bar or to accent each chord change. So I'll do that first of all. The other common one is not to think when you're listening to a song about what the guitar does. Think about what the drums do. The most common drum beat on rock and pop songs is bass, snare, bass, snare, bass, snare, bass, snare. The snare, which comes on beats 2 and 4, is the loudest noise. So if you think of the drums going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, you want to accent beats 2 and 4. So that'll go. That sort of thing. Or you can put accents wherever you want to add syncopated rhythms. That's a bit more advanced, and I think that's probably enough for today.